Hi everybody, I'm Brad with Big Family Homestead, and in this video we're talking about food storage tips for long-term food storage. So let's get to it. So there are very many valid reasons for making sure that you have some food stored away, some long-term food storage. Whether it's, a natural disaster or financial reasons, or for whatever your reason may be, which there are many different reasons, it's wise to have some food on hand for whatever may come down the pike. Now, so I figured I would talk a little bit today on some of the things that I think you should keep in mind, some tips as you're devising your plan, because your plan is going to be different than my plan, and my plan is going to be different than everybody else's plan because we have unique needs. I have a very large family. We have 7 kids. So my plan is going to be a lot different than, say, somebody who doesn't have any children. So today we're just talking about some tips that I would like you to keep in mind. This is not an exhaustive list. There's actually going to be six main tips. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other sub-tips. And one caveat, though, is if you are a veteran, if you are a veteran food prepper, then a lot of this you're probably going to know. I will try to put my spin on it, so hopefully there will be something new that everyone can take away from this brain dump, if you will. So here we go. We're going to start out with one of the things that I think is very important. Number 6. These are not in any particular order of importance. I'm just counting down so I can keep track of myself, which is not always easy. Okay, but anyway, number 6, and that is prep food store what you eat. And I say that because if you basically don't like a food and you're just sticking it away because you're going to, hopefully, I don't know, whatever, if you think it's the end of the world or whatever, then all of a sudden your food taste is going to change, and all of a sudden you're going to love black-eyed peas when you've never eaten black-eyed peas in your life. Well, a lot of that might get wasted because if you stick that food away and you don't eat it, it's not going to get rotated on your shelf, and therefore will ultimately end up going bad. Well, so here's the thing. My recommendation is store what you eat. And also with that is this, that if you feel like you need to have some kind of something that really lasts a long time, say like rice, but you don't eat rice, well then what my recommendation would be is start putting some rice recipes into your daily food planning, your meal planning. That way you're going to start getting used to it, and you might find things that you like, and that way if you had to be living off of these long-term food stores, you're not going to just hate it. You'll have things that you like about it. And yeah, of course, I mean, it goes without saying that if you're on the brink of starvation, you'd eat whatever, frosted covered turd. Well, hopefully it doesn't ever get to that point. But basically store what you eat and change your diet so that you can go ahead and have some of those items on there that are very cheap, long-term, shelf-stable stuff, so that you can go ahead and have an enjoyable experience if you had to be living off of those foods. Okay, next up, number 5 is honeyvillegrain.com. Now this is a website. They sell bulk foods, they sell bulk storable foods, they sell grains and all kinds of stuff. But the reason why I like honeyvillegrain.com is not only because of the bulk stuff, but their orders ship for only $5. That means you could order 500 pounds of food and they're still only going to charge you $5. Not $5 a bag, $5 period. So yes, they are a little bit more expensive than some of your cut rate places. However, when you consider that it's only $5, that's going to save you a truckload of time and money. Number 4 on your list is this. Try to start considering the nutritional value of what it is that you're storing. Now, this stuff right here, everybody knows what this stuff is actually super cheap, would last the nuclear winter. It's going to sit there on your shelf for a long time, but there's practically no food there. There's very little nutrition. So consider that as you're making your plan. Make sure that you've got proteins, make sure you've got good sugars. Honey is great to put on your shelf because it has an indefinite shelf life if you keep it dry. I mean, that moisture doesn't get into it. And It has very good sugars. So basically just consider your diet. You can't just live completely on stuff like this. You would survive for a while, but you would certainly not thrive. And so your body obviously needs that nutrition. So making sure that you have, fruits and vegetables and all the kinds of stuff that you need so that you're not just barely eking by or literally starving to death with a full belly. Now the next tip is a resource, and that is the Church of the Latter-day Saints, the LDS Community. They are absolutely game on when it comes to preparedness. It's actually part of their religion. And I think that we could use a lot more of their mentality in our world too. And so I would encourage you to check out your Latter-day Saints canneries. There's canneries that you can go and purchase foods. And I believe that there's a big flux that's happening. There's a lot of change. They're changing. It used to be that you could go purchase foods and then you could can them up there in number 10 cans and stuff like that. But I believe it's changed, but there's still an incredible resource for you to purchase bulk foods. And these people, they know what's what. Like I said, it's a part of their religion. So I would definitely recommend that you check out the LDS Community and this next resource. Check it out. And while we're on the topic of the Latter-day Saints, they sell this book here. It's the LDS Preparedness Manual. It says Handbook Number 2, Provident Living. You can get it online. I got mine for 20 bucks, but this thing has been an incredible resource. There are so many topics in here, everything from protection to growing to food storage, just so much stuff. It's well worth the money. If you can afford getting a copy, I would recommend it highly that you do it as soon as you can. All right, number 2 on the list is learn to can food. If you can get a hold of a pressure canner or a water bath canner and start teaching yourself how to can food, because if you have a garden, let's say you have a garden, you don't want that food to go to waste. What if you get a great deal at the grocery store? For example, last year we got, I believe it was 50 pounds of apples for very, very cheap. It was so cheap that we ended up getting a bunch of them and canning them. Well, you won't have access to those deals if you don't know how to preserve the food. So I would recommend highly, there's several videos online on how to can foods. We have several, there's others that are great, and but get yourself a canner and learn how to can food. And last but not least for this video is start gardening now. Absolutely, if you have anything that you can do within your power that will enable you to not just be dependent on what is on your shelf, that you can actually grow stuff, that is an incredible advantage. Learn how to start gardening. There are several different ways, places that you can garden. You don't have to have a ton of property. There's things like earth boxes. There's all kinds of different ways that you can grow stuff, even in apartment situations, container gardening, but learn how to start gardening today. They say, when's the best time to plant a tree, right? It's 20 years ago, right? Well, when's the next best time? Today. So I would recommend that you start getting your hands dirty, get in that ground and start learning how to grow food. Think about it this way, not only will you be supplementing whatever you have stored with fresh, but you will ultimately not end up needing the boxed canned stuff on a long-term scale, because you'll know how and you will have the ability to grow things and keep going with that. So I think gardening is a huge, should be on everybody's high priority list for a long-term food storage plan. So anyway, please pass the video around. Like I said, this is really not for the pro prepper, because you guys probably all know this, but hopefully that you picked something up off of it anyway. But for the beginners, get started, get out there, get going. You can do this. It's not hard. Takes a little time, got to learn a few things, but there's lots of videos online. That's one of the great things about YouTube, that somebody has already been out there and recorded a video to show you what works and what doesn't, yada yada, yippee skippy. So anyway, I'm Brad with Big Family Homestead, and you have an amazing day.